Hi. The opposition in Togo has denounced the proposed new constitution as a power grab intended to extend the reign of President FAURE. The reform would see the West African country move from a presidential to a parliamentary system. According to the president's supporters, the amendment would limit the executive authority by reducing the presidency to a ceremonial position. Some political pundits foresee that the constitutional modification would improve democracy in the country. Nonetheless, the country's opposition says the reform is a ruse that would allow FAURE to remain as president until 2031 and then be appointed to the new position of President of the Council of Ministers, in effect Prime Minister, a scheme that would facilitate the continuation of his family's 57-year rule. Some international observers have classified the proposal an attempted constitutional coup. Is this another blow to democracy in a sub-region that is already inundated with the political upheavals? What has been the ECOWAS stance on this recent development? Join the Africans React Now crew as we discuss this issue and the implications for the African sub-region. Our dialogists for today, as usual, are Paul Honkany, a political consultant, an author, a poet, and LLM student in international law, and Tega King, a singer, a writer, and a political pundit. You are welcome on Africans React, and my name is Olivia Quincy. So Tega, do you think this is another blow to democracy in a sub-region that is already inundated with political upheavals?
Truly speaking, it's a big blow to democracy. We already have just too many problems in this block already. Too many problems. ECOWAS is so inundated. You use the word, the right word. ECOWAS is already inundated with just too many problems. The last thing we need is another coup, another attempted coup, because this is also another attempted coup. I used to ask myself, why is it that we have elections of nearly everything? It's a lot of money to organize these elections. Not only do these elections cost us a lot of money, these elections used to cost our lives. So I used to ask, why don't we just use the parliament? I used to ask that questions all the time to politicians. Why don't we just use the parliament to get there, to elect somebody from the parliament who can become the leader of the nation? Because that will really be someone who will be representing us better, because we have selected people from our various localities or from our various constituencies. We have sent them to the assembly or we've sent them to the parliament. There should be elections from there, or there should be an appointment from there to pick someone to bring to select somebody who can now represent all of the nation and lead the nation. So I've been asking this question. I think when I heard about this, I said, wow, this is good. This is a good initiative. But the problem is, who is initiating this at this point in time, and what are the objectives? Sometimes people have very good intentions, but the intentions are geared towards one thing: to protect them. Because this guy has been in power for about 19 years. Why didn't he initiate this all this while? So the personality, the person behind this initiative is a problem. I would have wished that if he's starting something like this, which is a good thing, he steps aside, or he makes he projects intentions of stepping aside. The constitution was changed 5 years ago to suit him so that he can run for he can go in for another mandate, or can go in for another term. We know how politicians behave, and this is joking. This is playing with the minds of the Togolese people. So gullible, a small nation, so ruled by one family with an oligarchy that has been set there, that is feeding France, that is feeding the former colonial master, and feeding these few elites. Nobody to help them. They don't have great America. They don't have great China to help. They don't have a backing. They have nothing. They can do nothing about it. That's how I look at it. It's the wrong person. It is the wrong person who is doing this constitutional amendment, even though it's a wonderful thing. The second thing is that it's the wrong timing. It's just the wrong timing. They should have rather proposed this, which is a very good idea. They should have rather proposed this and let the people of the nation talk about it during the 2000, I think it was 2005, when they came forth with the trying to amend the constitution. There was a system put in place to enable people to know about what is about to come as a constitutional change. I expected that to happen again. So it is wrong timing for ECOWAS, because we have had enough. I mean, ECOWAS has had enough blow this time around. So many insults had been hailed on ECOWAS. I mean, people have said all sorts of things against the body, because at the end of the day, what you have to know is that this particular decision is favoring just one person more. It may favor the nation after this guy is gone. But for now, it's about this guy. It's about FAURE GNASSINGBE. Everything must circulate around them, around this family. This is the problem. Actually, Africa is searching for new solutions. Like I said, this is a very good one. You have a lot of nations in the world, or some nations in the world, that are headed in that format. I think the Great Britain is one of them. India is one of them. New Zealand is one of them. Netherlands as well.
When you mentioned that, when you were talking about the wrong timing, okay, you did mention about the wrong person as well. Yes. What do you mean?
Let's say that FAURE just decided that this is a good idea. It's going to help Africa, because Africans are beginning to have a question mark on democracy and the way democracy, this multi-party democracy, and also not only just there's still going to be multi-party democracy, but this time around, this aspect of a president and power all around the president. I mean, all power in the hands of one person, you know, and this has not been good for the continent, because when the president is swayed away, when the president is corrupted, when the president is bought by a different power, or is hoodwinked by a different power by let's say the West, like it has always been, what happens is that there's nothing anyone can do, because power is centralized in the hands of one individual. You see, so but now it's going to be different. It's going to be completely different, and this is a very good thing. But it's a wrong person who is doing this suggestion, who is doing all those reforms. For me, that's how I look at it. Like, it's the wrong person. Even if he was still going to be there, I mean, even if he's going to be the one who is suggesting this, he's supposed to make his intentions about not being the leader very clearly. Because why are people worried? They are worried that when they do this whole stuff, he's going to be the one. They are going to select, the parliament is going to select at the end of the day to still lead, so that he won't get out of the circles, or the circle of power. Are you getting the point? This is the point. So people are worried about this, that if he stays there, if he is still the one, then he can still use his authority to do the things he has been doing. Politics is about buying people, pulling people towards your side. And the more influence you have, I mean, the people he has been able to hold and control all this while, and who are supporting his ideas all this while, they will keep supporting him. They know how to play the game. I would have preferred that he gives a timetable, or gives a specific deadline to resign as the leader of the nation, or that he's not going to renew his mandate. Now that his mandate is coming to a close, and he knows he's not going to be re-elected again, he's not supposed to be re-elected according to the Constitution. So he's changing the Constitution so that he will now stay in power till 2031. You see, politicians are very smart. They can give, this time around, the president will not be the all and all. This alpha and omega status of the president has been changed. That is not the point. The point is this GNASSINGBE going to be still be in power? Is he the one who is still going to rule or lead this machinery that is bringing about all of this change? Why not set up, if you really think that you want to do something good for your country, why not set up a transitional system? Why not set up a transitional government that should handle all of this, and you leave? peacefully. That's how a good leader will lead. Why not set up a transitional government that should handle this while you exit? So that's it. So he's the wrong person.
So, Paul, do you agree with Tega on his idea on the wrong timings of the Togolese initiative?
Hi, Quincy and Tega. To a larger extent, Quincy, I agree with Tega, only that I am going to come through a different dimension, and this will ignite a conversation we had previously, myself, you, and Tega, on this very platform. You see, we have had conversations, a series of conversations about the influx of coup d'etats and their repercussions within the African sub-region. So we have also had advocates, learned advocates who have come out clearly, including Tega, to support the coups, the coup d'etats that happened in the, in West Africa. Talking of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. Now here we are again, trying to, for want of a better word, look down on an initiative that someone is putting in place and saying that he is not the right person and the timing is wrong. Olivia, when will we ever have the right time? Or who is always the right person to, to bring up an initiative? There's this African proverb that says that if you want to wait for the right weather, you will never, plant or sow any crop. So, when there's an initiative, when there is an idea, it has to be tackled here and then. I would want us to have another idea of what we are talking about so that it will enable our viewers and listeners have a clear apprehension. You see, like Tega rightfully said, this is a system Togo wants to migrate from the presidential system to the parliamentary system. What it means is that whoever the president will be would be nominated or elected by parliament. Okay. Again, even I'll come more into that because I am actually an advocate. I support the presidential system because I see there's a lot of separation of power and there are lots of checks and balances when it comes to the presidential system because the executive, holds power. Then the legislature, the legislature, that is the parliament, they draft laws, and then the judiciary ensures that we abide, both executive and judiciary abide by the laws and then the constitution. So what then it means is that if there is something like this in the first place, this constitutional amendment that President FAURE GNASSINGBE championed is not just a one-man thing. It had to go through parliament because if there's supposed to be an amendment, you have to go through parliament. I don't know of Togo's system, but in Ghana, for instance, if there's to be an amendment, there's an article in the constitution that caters for that, article 291, and there are various procedures that have to be followed before parliament will accept it and the president will assent to it. So if there is something like that has happened in Togo right now, then it means that it has passed through parliament. And if parliament has approved it, what is the noise here about? Because the parliament in Togo were elected by the people. And even so, if you are saying again that we want to, we agree or we kowtow to the parliamentary system, then it means that those same members of parliament in Togo are still going to feel the Togolese people because they are those who have approved of this new constitutional amendment. A president cannot just sit and veto and change and amend a constitution without passing through parliament. So if this is what has happened, it means that it had already passed through parliament, and it's now that oppositions are trying to cause an uprising. Now, Olivia, I want us to have a brief history on coup d'etats. Then you will understand how I'm now going to merge this. This conversation. You see, globally, the the number of coup attempts have been 486 globally. Now, out of global coup attempts, in Africa alone, the coup attempts were 220. In Africa alone, out of the 400, 220. And even, listen, Olivia, sorry, and then Tega. Let's have this right again. Coup d'etats, even this word coup is alien to Africa. Okay, it is I mean, an ideology. It is a system we adopted, and we Africans now even took it more and even organized a lot of coups. These are attempts. Now, when we are even looking at coups that have been successful, in Africa alone, we have 109 coups that have been successful since 1950. Since 1950 till now, 109 coups. When you go to, I mean, Latin America, it's only 70 coups successful. When you go to the Asian Pacific, 27 coups that have been successful so far since 1950 till now. When you go to the Middle East, 21. When you go to Europe, 8. The whole of Europe, 8 coups that have been successful. When you go to the South Asia, 10 coups that have been successful. Now compare Africa to these other areas. Africa, we've had 109 successful coups. Are we better off? Are we better off upon all these coups? And we will come and sit and say that we are supporting the Pan-African agenda, and therefore we are supporting coups, when these coups have proven to be of, I mean, a huge detriment to the African populace. Okay, for those are military coups. Now, this is what we are talking about is an attempted constitutional coup. That is what, I mean, the opposition will put it. But then, in any ways, this president, the current president, FAURE Gnassingbe's father, came into office through a coup d'etat. He came into office through a coup d'etat where he assassinated one Sylvanus Olympio. Tega rightfully mentioned that Sylvanus Olympio was becoming a dictator. I don't see it that way, but I mean, he came into power through a coup. And when you take a chronological antecedent of all these coups, all leaders who came into power through coups in Africa, you see that they end up becoming dictators, because that is what happens. The power will corrupt you. So either they come into power through a coup, then they hand over office to a civilian, then later they will come back again and take power from the civilian, because they've tasted power and they have the penchant for power. So no matter what they do, they'll come and say, oh, we want to seize power, and then we'll give it to a civilian rule. And what? No, it never happens. Look, power corrupts. So in the first place, that's why I have always been against coup d'etats, whether, I mean, military or constitutional or otherwise. And even now we have evolved. We shouldn't even be thinking of military coups again. There are several ways we can, I mean, psych the intellect of the people. There are several ways you can even organize a coup online, an internet coup, I mean an intellectual coup. Is we have evolved, for Christ's sake. So the point I'm trying to make is, in the first place, we thought, or Togolese thought, that Sylvanus Olympio was a dictator, and they supported a coup d'etat that brought in Gnassingbe Nyadema. That's the father of this current president. So Gnassingbe Nyadema came into office and ruled until 2005, when he succumbed. He sank into oblivion. In fact, Gnassingbe Nyadema, when he was in office, a lot of people don't know this, had an entourage, had had about 1,000 women. Okay, I want to find a better, like, he had a group of 1,000 women that were solely dedicated to him, to dance. Okay, when he comes, especially when he's out there in their National Assembly, or maybe a ceremony, an entourage of 1,000 ladies will come and dance, I mean, to make him happy. Even King Solomon didn't do that in the Bible. You see, King Solomon, the 1,000 women he even had, 700 were his wives, and 300 were concubines. Now you've come as an African president, I mean, and you have about 1,000 ladies that will come to dance and cheer you up. So you see what coups do. You see what dictators do. Okay, so as if that wasn't enough, um, he was in power until 2005, and then he died, and then the son took office. So look at what a coup has done. Look at the result of a coup d'etat. I tell you what, Olivia, when you look into Africa, there are only a few countries that haven't had coups. Examples are South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, Tanzania. Tanzania, they actually even had an attempted one, but it didn't, I mean, it didn't suffice. So also comparing Togo, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, and even Ghana to these countries that haven't had coups, do you think we are better off? No. So in the first place, this now comes to buttress. I'm in fact very happy with the situation in Togo right now, because it has come to buttress my call, my advocacy for, I mean, non-adherence to coup d'etats. So in the first place, I think the timing is correct, because it's
Okay.
better late than never. And then also, I think the one involved, the person is also, I mean, the rightful person, because he's the president and he's championing this. And now he's even saying that apart from the fact that I mean, the whole arrangement is a, should I say, is a very technical and wicked arrangement, because after this they will make him ceremonial president, and after that they can even make him a chair of another, I mean, another body for a very long time. So Full Nasingwe is someone who is capable, is likely to enjoy power or office for the rest of his life, just like his father did. Well, as we said, it's better late than never. Half a loaf is better than none. So it's good he has championed it. Let's see what happens. There are a lot of opposition leaders. There's one lady called Bridget Kafoe. She's been a very great advocate in Togo. They are those who are taking this up. There's another group known as Don't Touch My Constitution, and we have, I mean, lots of learned guys there, including guys who are from the family of Sylvanus Olympio. Remember, I mentioned Sylvanus Olympio was president and was assassinated through a coup d'etat by Nansingwe Nyadema. So their family also, they have people who are also out there that are trying to. So I know by and large they will reach, I mean, a compromise. But I think it's a good initiative. The right person has ignited. I think this is the perfect timing, and Togo can now take clue. Togo can now take clue from Senegal. What happened in Senegal when there was an attempted constitutional coup? Senegal did not use a military coup to countenance it. But what Senegal did was they utilized their judicial remedies. They went to court, and then court saw what was unconstitutional and told them this was unconstitutional, and they had to continue with what was constitutional. Togo also have, I mean, legal luminaries. They have the highest apex court of the land. So I think when they utilize this avenue, they should be able to get to, I mean, they'll be able to meet each other halfway. I mean, the court, the apex court, should be able to tell the Togolese populace and the Togolese government what is constitutional and what is unconstitutional. With this, I think it's always the perfect way to go, rather than, I mean, exploring coup d'etats, or either military wise or constitutional wise.
Okay. Okay, so Tega, what do you think has been the ECOWAS stance on these recent developments?
It's well, as usual. As usual, ECOWAS will definitely want to flex the muscles. Paul was trying to argue on the aspect of coups. We're not. I'm not talking about. We're not talking about the coups that we are supporting presently, because for more than 60 years of our independence, or since 1960, nations have remained poor. Nations have remained stagnated, especially these Francophone countries. And those leaders of those nations have been proven being corrupted. There are enough data to show that most of the leaders are corrupted. There are enough evidence to show that former colonial masters have been playing around with these nations, exploiting extensively, intensively, unruly these nations. There are all these proofs. That's why when we have someone who comes up to save his people, I told you last time about the Nigerians everywhere. They are everywhere selling scrap metals, moving from one place to another, being refugees in all the places of the world. They are everywhere in the streets of Lagos. They are everywhere in the streets of Accra. They are everywhere in the streets. They are just everywhere. You can identify them very easily. They are the young boys, and especially the young boys. They're everywhere doing odd jobs. Then you have the girls sometimes just begging around, the children begging around, and all of that. We know that these nations like Niger, they have a lot of natural resources. But what is their sin they've committed for having these natural resources? That they will rather be placed in some kind of servitude for so many years. That's why when we see people coming up and trying to save them out from the situation and standing firm, saying that they want to have a new trajectory in their political history, then we support what is good. In other words, what I'm supporting is not really coups. What I'm supporting, I'm looking at good versus evil. That's what I'm looking at. It's not about coups. Because if it was about coup, I'll support this coup that this guy wants to play. Foreign Yasimbe wants to play presently. Or I would have supported the coup of Macky Sall. That's what I'm against is the fact that people are exploited without giving them an opportunity to thrive, without giving them an opportunity for justice. This is my problem, is this injustice, this gross injustice. And when it reaches a certain level, it will erupt. It will erupt, and it usually erupts through what? Through coups. It is very rare for you to have nations that are prospering and people are fine having issues of coup d'etats. It is when people are disgruntled, a certain level of people are disgruntled, that you have those kinds of situations. It is rare. I'm not saying that you don't have, but it is very rare. And so when we see these kinds of immorality going on, we want a change. And coup d'etats has become part of what politics is all about. It's become part of the whole political game. So we cannot kick it out completely in the political, in building the political sector of a nation. Because otherwise, what is the military there for? You cannot let the nation go down to hell. You're seeing the nation rolling down to hell, and you sit there as a military power. What is the purpose? Your purpose is not only to protect the borders of your nation. No, it's not only to protect the borders of your nation. You are part, and I think the whole new African systems that they are trying to adjust and all of that, the military has to be given some authority.
Let me assure you that Africa can work.
Nations like France today are built by strong military guys like General de Gaulle. So the democracy we are enjoying in some of these nations, they were built by military guys. Some of these democracies that we see and we're praising and we're saying they're wonderful democracies, they were built by military guys. Even the democracy in this nation, has been, the pace was set by a military guy. So it is not about the fact that there are coups, but what kind of coup? What kind of coup? And we cannot let a leader come up and is messing up the nation. They're doing what they want to do. They're selling up the nation. They're total sellouts. And then the citizens are miserable. They can do nothing. And yet the military too can do nothing. But when we see people who have the power itself are the ones who are now rather doing the coup, that's when we talk about. That's why we're against. That is exactly what I'm against. I was against Macky Sall. That was a coup. I was against Alassane Ouattara. I was against Kaka Debi. I was against this guy, or I'm against the kind of coup he had there in Chad. So it is not every coup that we are for. It's not every coup that's a good agenda. You have some coups that are really bad, like the one in Chad, like the one in Gabon. That's not the coup that I support. The coup that took place in by Denis Sassou Nguesso many years ago, those are not the kinds of coups that I support. I'm supporting coups that have clear agendas of justice to liberate the people from the claws of the imperialist. That's the coups that I support, because they have clear agenda. Their agendas are to liberate the continent from the hands of these colonialists who have held them for too long. When you read the Pact for the Continuation of Colonialism, then you can understand why some of us will support some of these coups and will not support some of them. So it's not like I'm supporting everyone. And then there's something you talked about, Yadema, sorry, not Yadema, but Silvanus Olympio. Silvanus Olympio, when I use the word dictator, it's not like I want to undermine the authority and the good things that he did for that nation. No, I just want to say his system was a dictatorial system. And I'm not like trying to be against dictatorial system completely. I'm saying that if it's a dictatorial system, it must bear results. It must bear fruits. Let's say that Togo was a monarchy all this while. Where are the gains? What are the fruits? What are the benefits of that monarchy? That we can look at the time that from the time that the Yadema were ruled up till now. What benefits? What has been the benefits, the gains of that monarchy, if it was a monarchy, for example? That's how we look at it before we know whether the truly monarchy system in Togo have had any good thing to write home about. By all indication, it has not. So when we see this guy trying to remain in power, he's remaining in power for what? Why is he trying to be in power? It has not really delivered. I mean, there are many problems in Togo presently. There are problems of corruption, poverty. For more than 2 months now, they've been having problems with water and electricity, just like we've been having here.
And it's strange to see all the African countries facing the same problems. Don't you think so?
Yes.
About the water problems and the electricity problems.
Yes.
Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, it's because we really don't plan. We don't have long-term plans on nearly all of our projects. And that's why every time when I say it, you guys will say, we want to, you laugh about it, about Nana Kwame Bediako being the president of this country, or coming to power. You laugh about it, but these are people who are proactive, who have been business people, who understand what it means to look into the future, prepare things in the future. These are the kinds of people we need as leaders. Not politicians who are there, or they're only planning on how to be in power. You see, so because we don't have short-term plans, mid-term plans, and the long-term plans, we don't have those kinds of planning. It's all about how long will I be able to be in power and protect the sectors. That's just my few friends who are my political friends, and how long we can be in power and how we can come back again in power. You're a president for 4 years. What do you do in 4 years as a president? What kind of achievement can you achieve in 4 years? Very little. Very, very little. So by the time you're in that 4 years, you are trying to consolidate your power so that they will not you win the next election. That's all that they do. Such a terrible system that has to be changed as fast as people get their senses in order. You know, we see clearly that the politicians that we put in power cannot solve our problems.
Yeah.
Day after day, we see clearly that our problems cannot be solved if it has to go through the system of the politics that we have. We see clearly that it's impossible. We will remain the way that we are, but we still want to give our votes to a politician. We still want a politician to come forward, even though we have had an opportunity to have even someone I can call him a godsend. Because the more and more I listen to our video that we did about this guy, the more I begin to feel that no, there is something that we should have maybe studied this guy even more to give this guy a better shot. Even talking about him, I mean, Nana Kwame Bediako. These are visionaries. You don't take people there because they are what would you expect? They are party leaders, and you make heads of government. What is it exactly that they are going to give to you? They're going to give to you exactly what they do in politics. They'll package you what politics can give to you, and is exactly what they'll give to you. Select a leader. Get the leader. The reason why Togo has not changed all this while is because they have politicians ruling them with very little to offer to them. It's all about politics. It's all about how can we stay forever. Look at how he maneuvered himself. He's trying to maneuver with the constitution and working on the brains of everyone, including the opposition. Because the opposition, they are what? The opposition is what? Politics. We know what policies is on this continent. So we know what goes on. I like the fact that there should be a system that is a parliamentary system. But I'm also worried sometimes with the kinds of parliamentary system. The downside of this particular kind of leadership, the people will not have the opportunity to be able to select a leader. It will be about what? It will be about this. It will be about these elites or the elites who will be there all the times to select somebody who have been bought. In short, once the France will succeed to get to hoodwink this parliament, is over. They will install their puppet leader forever and ever, and they will rule that nation forever. That's the downside. That's the downside of this kind of leadership. You know, that's the one of the downside of this kind of leadership. But generally, it's a good thing because if you also look at the other side, you realize that the people have to vote their people who come to the parliament or their parliamentarians. The people are the one to vote those parliamentarians. So they will have to bear with those parliament. They will have to make sure they select the right parliamentarian. Otherwise, if they don't, then they are going to select a parliamentarian who is going to sell their votes to the West as usual or to the East. These are some of the limitations. I'm looking at both sides. I'm not just interested in the fact that you have this parliamentary system, which has been very successful in some nations. Here in Africa, we haven't had more of that kind of a system, but it has been successful in places like India. India is prospering today because of that kind of a system. And we are also trying to say the African have had this issue of elections a lot and having problems all the times with elections. So why don't we have a system that goes, in that format? One of the things we must stay on guard against is the fact that we can easily be bought by external powers.
Okay.
That's the elites who are ruling the nation can easily be hoodwinked by external powers and be controlled like it has always been. Well, once that happens, the nation will be taking a particular path that is not beneficial for the people or for the citizens. But if we have very strong positions and very strong leadership that is against corruption, that will be very good.
Okay, so Paul, what do you see about the stance on these recent development with ECOWAS as well? As you heard, Tega talks about his ideas over that. What is your idea?
Yes, as far as I have researched, I haven't seen any concrete correspondence from ECOWAS. I have tried to see if I can get any concrete correspondence. I'm yet to see any concrete correspondence. But then think that is because ECOWAS is also allowing room for this country to exhaust all their remedies. Like we said earlier, there are opposition groups that are fighting strongly against this development. So I'm sure ECOWAS is waiting for, the finality of the matter. Then they can come with a concrete correspondence. Nonetheless, talking of parliamentary system vis-a-vis the presidential system of governance, I tell you what, Olivia, me, I will always go for the presidential system. Um, every day, 24, any time of the day you wake me up, wherever I am, I'll go for the presidential system. Because to begin with, I would want to use Tega's own point to let us arrive at an idea. Tega is a very he loves Nana Kwame Bediako very much. I think he likes him, and he's championing. Same at least he sees that the man has a vision. I don't see same, but everyone is entitled to his opinion, and I think there's something Tega sees that probably I might not have seen. But be it as it may, if we want to champion a parliamentary system of governance, then it means that people like that, like Freedom Jacob Caesar, or Kwales, or Cheddar, or Nana Kwame Bediako, will have little or no even room at all to become president. Because you see, the parliamentary system is the members of parliament that will come and either elect or nominate. So you see that is even a demerit in the first place. Okay, the reason why I always go for, the presidential system of governance is when you look at the collective good, when you look at, the whole global statistics, and even in Africa, majority are in the presidential, system, and that should tell you that it is working well. That is why, they are in it. Otherwise, it would have been otherwise. Again, as I said earlier, the presidential system of governance allows room for, complete checks and balances. It prevents usurpation of power. So the executive are to execute. You get that they are to execute. Policies. The legislature, which are the parliamentarians, their sole work is to make laws and amend same. Then the judiciary is also there, and everyone is working independently. Now, if we want, and I also like the fact that with the presidential system, the president has, the opportunity to select his ministers. With this, if you have a very conscious president, someone who is visionary, you see that he will select people in that line. Now, if it is a parliamentary system and everything lies on the parliamentarians to select the president, I find it difficult to see how things will work well, especially in Africa. If it is in Europe and then in Asia, as Tega mentioned, India and then the UK, those countries they are civilized, for want of a better word. I don't want to say we are not civilized, but they surpassed us. So they are able to, their people have an apprehension of some of these things better than us. I also want to touch on the fact that Tega mentioned, there were a lot of Nigerians around. There, when you go to Togo, you see them of Niger descent. When you come to Ghana, they are here. You see, this is one misplaced priority, and that issue of Niger, I have always said that it has to do with the mentality. In fact, Niger and whatever countries that have people that are exporting all these their human resources should have a reorientation. So this is, I mean, just a simple advice I would have. This is a very young population. These are young people who are very strong. In fact, when you see them, Olivia, you agree with me. You see them very tall and strong. When you see them, good stature, people that can, play well in the military environment. So why couldn't Niger uh, recruit people like this, train them in the military line, and export them? There are lots of countries that are developed countries that are looking for, military force, and they are not getting. Okay, even if I don't want to say this, but okay, well, just for the fun side of it, if for nothing, you can export them to Ukraine or Russia. They need people to come and fight. You get that, and it will serve as, it will bring some foreign exchange to the country. But well, that was just on the lighter side. What I'm trying to say is that there are lots of developed countries that need, these human resources, military wise. There are lots of developed countries that need them in terms of laborers to work in factories, to work in the harbors, and a lot. So when we don't have leaders that think in this direction, and those leaders are just leaders that are thinking of how to champion coups and to counter coups, and to wear military paraphernalia, and they are all over the media parading themselves as though they are the Che Guevaras of modern day. It is taking us nowhere. You see, whether with or without even natural resources, and these countries, Niger, Mali, Burkina, whether with or without, they can still, in fact, the human resource is the most important, valuable resource. So these are avenues we should think of. These are things we should be talking about, instead of playing the blame game. You get that? Because as it stands, things can never always be all right for everyone at the same time. So, in the nutshell, what I would want to say is, I haven't heard ECOWAS come to say anything. I think ECOWAS is also allowing room for Togo to explore all their remedies. I would always go for a presidential system of governance, because a presidential system of governance is that system that will allow room for friends of Tega, like Cheddar, to also become, president. Look at Senegal, for instance. Did you know that even on their election, their ballot paper, the number of candidates were, I think initially they were about 90, then they trimmed it down to 70, then to about 30, and finally was it 29 or something. Can you imagine that? So everyone wants to be on the ballot paper. But well, if that is what Africa, that is what we've always wanted, and we want people like Cheddar to be in office, then it's a presidential system of governance that should play. So that myself, Olivia, Tega, when we are, of age, and then we feel we want to change a system, we can do so. So by and large, interesting times. It's good all this is happening. And you see, me, the only thing that baffles me or saddens me is that everything, the whole show is on West Africa. Everything is just like the whole world, the lens is on West Africa. So this is the time we also have to take our security seriously, because there are lots of hoodlums, there are lots of sadists, there are a lot of terrorists, extremists, either religious extremists or political peeved persons that would want to take advantage over this impasse in West Africa to visit mayhem on the innocent populace. And as we mentioned, as I said in our previous conversation, Togo is, it has a shore. These landlocked countries go there. In fact, even Ghana sometimes, where some people have to, utilize the harbor of Togo because of their duty-free status. I don't know if that has changed now. So if Togo is having any political instability, it is going to further deteriorate the predicament Burkina Faso, Niger, and then the rest are facing.
Yeah,
Olivia.
that's very obvious. That's very obvious, and that's a very salient point, because presently Togo has the busiest seaport in the whole of West Africa. Even Lagos does not come close. So
Really?
yeah, the busiest seaport in the whole of West Africa, one of the busiest in Africa presently, as we're speaking. Especially when you had this problem also with Niger. Niger is also coming. Niger was working with Benin at the Cotonou seaport there, because it's also a free port. But recently, they switched to Togo, and they want to maintain their Togo's relationship with Togo, which is a good thing. I will say that you talked about these Nigerians that are everywhere. They are everywhere because you had a very terrible system that was controlled by France, and it is that system we are trying to correct. Is a system that the coup leaders are trying to correct at this point in time. And that's why some of them are, even if you have looked at the trajectory of some of them who are going back now, you see that there's an increase of those who are going back, and then a decrease of those who are in the various foreign nations or neighboring nations. Because this is a nation with a very youthful population, and like you rightly said, one of our leaders went there and was so surprised. She's a Korean. She saw these Nigerians, very huge people, very tall. So what kind of big people are this? They are so tall and so handsome, wonderful,
very tall.
Yeah. So with all of this, they can really be a very good human resource, or even play as part of the military to protect this continent.
They are very talented when it comes to cutting the nails.
Yeah.
So if you employ this, this level of technical know-how, you'll be able to. You see how they are very good in shaping things.
Yeah.
So this can be good architects in the construction sector.
Yeah, they had to use their hands to do stuff. They are the ones. What are they doing with these scrap metals? I'm sure they're trying to build stuff. There is a lot that is going on in the Francophone world. If you know the way the Francophone, I'm always skeptic to using or disturb using that word Francophone, but for the purpose of communication, let me just be using it. If you know the way the Francophone countries are being ruled, you will feel like you will feel like you are in heaven, eh? Like
Tega, but should we continue to blame France? That's what you see. There's this Chinese proverb that the man who blames, others, has a long way to go.
Yeah.
The one who,
So
it must we continue to blame France?
Yeah. But what would you do? What would you do when you're in a situation where your own leaders are already in a kind of pact with France, or that you have a pact that you are virtually unable to get out of the pact, except you use these unorthodox methods which have been used now, which is a coup?
And should you use bad to rectify bad?
So that's it. Because you are saying, should we keep blaming? We must take action. And it's the action they are taking.
What sort of actions are you expecting? Are you expecting
the first action that they have taken is a military action to make sure they expel or they remove France from the way France has been holding them down, because they know that is the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. They have
I
started
don't
that.
support a military action. I don't rather, because you can even as a citizen, you can, I mean, go to the Supreme Court to seek an interpretation. So if there's even probably something, a pact you think you have with France, that country has with France, any citizen can go to the Supreme Court of that
No,
country
you are
to seek an
ignoring.
interpretation.
You are ignoring. You see, you see.
Or
No, you are
or you
ignoring.
could sign a petition. You could sign a petition around, I mean, the country, online petition. We don't want France. We want
Do you
France out.
think, Paul,
You
do
are
you think all these
ignoring.
petitions of sorts
All of
will
these things you are saying have been done. All of the things you are saying have been done. There's nothing these guys. There's nothing the francophone countries have not done to make sure their country is in order. They have done all of this. That is why they're taking the final step, and the final step is the step of death. When you see, why would somebody want to do that? Why would someone want to kill himself? Look, if you know the danger in which a guy like Traore is, I mean Ibrahim Traore, on a daily basis, they're trying to kill this guy on a daily basis. Why will you take such a risk? I sent you a video of a general, a top general in France, who is saying that in the next 10 years or so, they have to come back to recolonize the nation. I mean, the continent. Some of this nation. For him, the continent has entered into chaos, and they cannot let this chaos continue like this. With the huge population this continent has, they cannot permit this. They will have to come and intervene. These military guys are flushing the terrorists away. Do you know how much Traore has developed his nation in just 2 years that he has been in power? You need to know the development that are taking place in Burkina Faso.
So, Paul, before we round up, what is your last take on this constitutional impasse in Togo?
Olivia, I tell you what, it is in the first place an unfortunate situation they have found themselves in. Or for one, or would I say we have found ourselves in, because whatever affects Togo affects us in the sub-Saharan region. Nonetheless, it is good news, because even if should we say that there's a constitutional coup being staged, it is staged in such a way that the president is not president for life, or he is not going to be re-elected for 2 consecutive terms. Okay, it is just a transfer of, I mean, leadership, I mean, rules from the presidency to the parliament, and therefore making the president a ceremonial president. So if this will actually come to play so well, so that the president is ceremonial, but executive powers or executing policies are in the House of Parliament, is good. Because it's not like other, I mean, dictatorships we've seen, the Mobutu Sese Seko's, the Blaise Compaorés, who did not want to, the Robert Mugabe's, who did not want to give out power. And I also want to add that should there be any person or group of individuals in Togo who would want to capitalize on this to stage any military coup or subject the state of the nation into disarray, they should better think twice, because it will not only affect the perpetrators of that, but it will affect, I mean, their families. It will affect the whole, I mean, sub-region. FAURE Niger, I think, is level-minded. He has some sink of humility in him, and I think he will listen largely to the group of Catholic bishops that have come to, I mean, express concern. He will listen to the Don't Touch My Constitution coalition. He will listen to opposition leaders like Bridget Kafui Johnston, and he would also listen to advocates like us, political pundits like us, on Africans React, and I mean, salvage Togo out of their already ongoing impasse. Togo is a developing country. a very small country when it comes to the demographics, but with talented people in all genres, in all spheres of life, in music, in sports, in the arts, in literature, and a whole lot. By and large, I think this is an interesting event that we'll just observe and see what happens. If things go disarray, we'll come back and then let the whole world know who has done bad and who has done good.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. Tell me what's your last take on this issue
Because
as well.
people have the impression that a leader like Sylvanus Olympio was, even though he was a dictator, he was better off. Olympio was there just for 6 years. Eyadema was there for about 39 years, and then his son has come up to be in for about almost 20 years, and he's going to be even more than that. So what we are saying is that he has done some good work, and I don't want him to mar what he has done during his last, just like Macky Sall did during his last term or during his last period in this honorable position as a president of the country. He has to think of stepping down. He has to think of retiring, and he has to think of becoming that kind of a monument who people can come to refer to look for, to ask advice or to seek for advice. That's the kind of person he should look at himself to be, not somebody who is still there. I know he's still young. I know he's very young, but he's been in power for long, and his parents have also been there. So the best thing he can do is for him to let the Togolese begin to envisage a Togo without the Yasimbe's family. It's very, very important. Very, very important. You know, he really helped this nation. I mean, this short time, Yasimbe has pushed the country to some level of freedom. Do you know that the freedom that Yasimbe pushed this country made the country to have some new television stations like New World that is becoming a very international station. It's been listened to by nearly all the Francophone countries. It's in French and English. And they broadcasted they bought the World Cup and the African Nations Cup and televised those matches during this period where we had this opium of Africa, which is sports, especially football. And we people had a nice time knowing that it was Togo that was behind all of this. And like I said, their GDP rose considerably. In 2005, their GDP was inside $2.28 billion. By 2022, their GDP was hitting around $8.4 billion. You know, it's a small country of about 9 million people. According to the World Bank report of 2023, Togo has a GDP per capita of about $900, surpassing most of those nations around them, and a PPP of about 2,208.69 US dollars. So the government has been working very hard, employing about 70% of the active population. That's quite a good one, to good record for this guy, and accounts for over 40% of the GDP because of the huge percentage of population that is being employed. And I talked about the port that is very, very active. In recent years, foreign direct investment has increased considerably due to exploitation of large reserves, some of their minerals that they have. They're also they're very resourced when it comes to natural resources as well. So this guy has been doing well. He should not mar his legacy. He should not be like Macky Sall. What has become of Macky Sall? Macky Sall is now in Morocco. He shouldn't be like that. Macky Sall has gone for an exile in Morocco. Is that how our leaders should be? He should be a monument who should sit there in his home or in his village, and people are coming from all over, coming to visit. If I were him, for him to have a very good legacy is to step down, because people are tired of that family. You know, I said that if it was a monarchy, we can now make a total, we can make it an assessment, a clear assessment, a critical assessment to see exactly whether this was a good one or a bad one. And by all indication, it won't really be something, what will be written will be very little. I mean, what will be taken home will be very, very little. Yasimbe should know that if he wants to end up honorably, he can just set up a transitional system, or again, the constitution opens up for a referendum. Organize a referendum, let people speak out their minds, let the nation speak and decide on what people want at this point in time. Leave the power honorably before you leave in tatters. It's not the best, the trajectory that is taken. ECOWAS has said nothing, but I don't think ECOWAS will not. The African Development Council has been behind ECOWAS, pushing ECOWAS, telling ECOWAS to do something. If not, their name is going to be soiled as well. So it wouldn't be good now that ECOWAS should come up again and begin to tell Yasimbe, this is what he should do. It's not going to be the best. People think that we should give him time. We should give the whole process time. That is good, but it will be good to give time. We should know that this time is given without Yasimbe being in the picture. He's not going to be in the picture. He's not going to be the president anymore. He's not going to be in the circles of power anymore. And that is going to assure people that the ghost of Yadema has finally, disappeared in Togo.
All right, thank you very much, Tega and Paul. And the divergent views we've had between our two panelists has made this debate edifying. And I hope we all have learned something from today's discussion as well. Please don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe to our channel for more educative discussions like this. Once again, my name is Olivia Quincy, and you're being on Africans React.